Welcome to Pokemon Infinite Fusion, the fan-made game with over 170,000 fusion combinations, as well as over 20,000 custom sprites made by the community. Today we're gonna rock our way through with heavy metal, Steel-type Pokemon. No matter what, I can only use fusions that have the Steel type in it. The fusions in this game are amazing, so let's get straight to it. Also, if we reach 9,993 likes, I'll do a run using only fusions suggested by you guys. Since this run was using Steel-type Pokemon, I decided to name myself after one of the best heavy metal bands there is, Metallica. I also named our rival Zeppelin for the same reason, and with our groovy names, it was time to choose our starter. Be on the lookout for any heavy metal references and comment down below if you find them. I decided to go with Rotom because I knew it would give us some amazing fusions right off the bat with any Steel type we could find. Zeppelin took the others and fused them, then Rotom handled his Glarogue easily, and we were off to a good start. While running an errand for Professor Oak, we happened to run into a Lucario, and on our way back we found Magnezone. Even though we didn't have Pokeballs yet, I was happy to see two Steel types immediately on our run. We gave Professor Oak his satchel, grabbed some Pokeballs, and headed back out to add our first two team members to the team. While searching for them, we caught a lot of other Pokemon, including this Reshiram, and even found a Ferrothorn fusion, which made 3 Steel types. I fused Ferrothorn with Gliscor, making this awesome Thorny fusion, and I fused Magnezone and Meganium together, creating this multi-headed metal version of Pleakley from Lilo and Stitch. I also immediately fused Lucario and Rotom together, since this was one of my favorite fusions ever, and it looked like some Dragon Ball character powering up. By the way, if you guys want to power up your entertainment, consider Kamehame hitting the subscribe button, as our goal is to reach over 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And until then, we'll be putting out more awesome and different Pokemon content. Before leaving town, we grabbed a Wobbuffet from some guy in the Pokemart, pressed forward through Viridian Forest, catching several more Pokemon on our way, and made it to Pewter City. Here we fused Aeron with Wobbuffet to create this armored knight, and pressed on to the gym to face Brock, now a water-type gym leader. Brock led Poryler, and we quickly took it down with Thundershock. Ninetoys then came out and fell almost as fast, since our Lucario fusion was just too strong. Continuing our journey, Ferrothorn got into a rollout battle with this Gravizard, and won. Then, running into a nurse and some trainers whose Pokemon had just been stolen, we rushed into the cave ahead. Finding Team Rocket was the cause as usual, we pushed through the cave and interrupted their plans. Their triple fusion experiment ran into some issues, and before I could stop them, they fled with what they needed, leaving the rest behind. With nothing left to do, we pushed forward to Cerulean City, where we were challenged to a Pokemon battle by Zeppelin. We lead Ferrothorn against his first Pokemon, and after using Rollout, we quickly whittle it down. Zeppelin then sends out King Charizard and takes Ferrothorn and Wobbuffet out. Luckily, Rorio was able to take it out with Thundershock, and after bringing his buffed up Weeping Choke down to red, it was knocked out by Seismic Toss. Pleakley then comes out and barely manages to finish off his starter with Magnet Bombs, sending him on his way dazed and confused. While exploring our way to Bill's house, we found this Golclang making 5 Steel types on the team. We aided Bill with his experiment, grabbed our SSN ticket as a reward, and headed straight to the second gym, where Misty awaited with her fighting type Pokemon. Misty leads this cool Dusknape fusion, and our Rorio is knocked out by Seismic Toss. Our Meganium fusion then comes out, and they slowly whittle each other down until finally Dusknape falls. Luckily, her second Pokemon was a Mankey Krabby fusion, so with 2 quick Thundershocks, we knock it out, winning our second gym badge. 2 badges in hand, we tried out a few fusions for Klinklang, such as this Mischievous, but we ended up keeping the Steamboat Moby Dick fusion instead. Such a creative fusion. We run through the tunnel headed south and come out on Route 6, where we run into this kid and his Steelix Articuno fusion, as well as this hiking couple and their amazing Deoxys, as well as Mantine and Metagross fusions. Making it to Vermilion City, we made like a moth to the flames straight to SS Anne. We battled a few workers to get the captain's key and fought this amazing Lugia Vaporeon fusion. Then we headed to the captain's quarters, where Zeppelin stood waiting for a rematch. His Ketchu stood no chance against Clinklord's Discharge, and Meganium Magnet Bombed his starter. His adorable Abra fusion tried to protect Stall for speed boost, but was quickly knocked out by a single Thundershock. Rorio then finished off his Mishoot. That definitely wasn't his strongest team. Regardless, we made it to the captain, offered him our services.
What were you just watching!
And after paying us with the HM cut, we made our way to the third gym. Before we went all the way though, we stopped and searched the grass, finding and catching this Metagross. Gyarados was an awesome fusion, and so was Aerodactyl, but I decided to go with this Donphan. Personally, I like this more than the new future form for Iron Treads. With our new fusions on the team, we went to face Surge. I picked through these trash cans a million times. I know you guys said it was right next to the first button, but I somehow missed it 5 times in a row. Oh well. It was finally time to take on Surge and his ghost types. Surge leads this adorable Yamask fusion that we quickly take out with Earthquake. Then this amazing Cubone fusion comes out and falls to Earthquake. And finally Shuppet Mimikyu fusion is sent out and survives an Earthquake, then takes me out with my own move. We send out Ferrocore and Surge heals, but we quickly knock it out with Acrobatics, winning our third gym badge. Earthquake is way too strong to have at this point, and Steel types are kind of unstoppable. Now fired up about how easily these heavy metal hitters are making this run, I head north again to Route 9. I battle my way through some trainers, catch some more Pokemon, and head into the rock tunnel where we find Bisharp. We stumble our way through the darkness, fought this adorable Umbreon fusion, and finally arrived at Lavender Town. Time for more fusions. Lucario and Bisharp was a super cool wandering night, and Lucario Ferrothorn looked like a mean warrior. I'm not sure why, but I thought Klinklang and Metagross was kinda cute, but I absolutely couldn't ignore this Magnezone Metagross fusion. I mean, look at this guy. Klinklang and Sceptile fused together perfectly. This is what a future Paradox Pokemon should look like. Ferrothorn and Infernape was not half bad, and finally I fused Lucario with Reshiram and Bisharp with himself. I'm not sure why, but I absolutely loved this double fusion. With our new team constructed, we headed into this cool looking tower. And what do you know? Zeppelin was waiting there once again. His Mariate fusion didn't last long as we took it down with Mirror Shot. Then we saw his Galbwile come out and we switched into our Reshiram Lucario fusion so that we could kill it with fire. I hate spiders. His starter, also weak to fire, went down to another fusion flare. Our rival then sent out Mr. Ink against our Clinktile and it became a battle of attrition. We whittled each other down and eventually our discharge took it out, reminding our rival that we were the hero of the day and not him. After the battle, we see Mr. Fuji being taken up the tower by Team Rocket, and Zeppelin tells us we can't proceed without a Silph Scope, and he leaves. Realizing I'd never tried going up without one, I went up the stairs. I was immediately charged by ghosts, so I quickly ran back down the stairs and out the tower. Sorry, Mr. Fuji, I'll come back later. We made our way west to Celadon City, and on our way to the gym, we were stopped by the gym leader, Erika. Apparently, Team Rocket had set up a base in their city sewers, and requesting our help, she ran straight in. Erika and I fought side by side through the grunts and their amazing fusions, like the Skarmory and Zekrom fusion duo. We then split up, made our way through a puzzle, and arrived just in time to fight Giovanni after he defeated Erika alone. Giovanni led this Beedrill fusion, and after seeing how little damage our Magnegross did, we switched into Clinktile, who quickly fell to Pin Missile. Luckily, I remembered our Infernape fusion had the perfect move and we took it down with Flame Wheel. His next Pokemon, Whimsicott, took us out with Psychic, but stood no chance against our Mega Bisharp. His Porygon fusion also quickly fell to Night Slash, and we defeated Giovanni. Before we could stop him, he fled, leaving behind a Silph Scope. Erika then invited us to the gym, so we made our way there. This time, Erika was using Psychic-type Pokemon. Leading Rashario, we were able to eventually take out her slimy-looking Pigeon with Dragon Breath. We then fell to Gochum's Magnitude 7, and Clinktile had no issue taking it out with Mirror Shot. Now she was left with her ace, and boy was it an ace indeed. Her Raichu flinched us with Air Slash and knocked Clinktile out. Luckily, we still had an ace up our own sleeve. We sent out our Mega Bisharp to Night Slash, and after one, it quickly fell to a second, winning our 4th gym badge. With our newly acquired Silph Scope in hand, we headed back to the tower to save Mr. Fuji. Once reaching the top of the tower, we found out that he didn't actually need any assistance, as Team Rocket had no more use for him. Like every good grandpa, he gave us a gift and sent us on our way. So we headed back down the tower with the Poke Flute in hand. Legend has it that when played, this flute actually plays heavy metal music, which is why it wakes up sleeping Pokemon. Luckily, headed south running into a sleeping Snorlax, we had the chance to use it. It woke up, we chased it off, and Janine and I were finally able to make our way to Fuchsia City, where her dad and our 5th gym badge was waiting. On our way, we ran into this adorable Giralette, and even managed to catch an Aggron. Before heading into the gym, we fused Aggron with Arbok to make this armored snake, which was cool, but have you ever seen an armored starfish? Boom! Look at this mean guy. With our newest team member, it was time to face Koga and his fighting type Pokemon. His Octoly went down fairly easily to Double Edge, and because of our ability, the armored star doesn't take any recoil damage. His double Mankey then knocks itself out with the black sludge it's holding, and we're suddenly faced with the beefiest dragon in all the land. Scared, we switch into Reshario, and after surviving a Dragon Rage, we're able to knock it out with Extra Sentry before it could use those massive muscles. Switching into Magnegross, we get paralyzed and knocked out by Nidodoom, and Clinktile falls almost instantly as well. Luckily, our armor star Agmi was fast enough to hit it with a Double Edge and knock it out, winning our 5th gym badge. 5 badges in hand, it was time to take a break. So we went on a nice little stroll to the Safari Zone. Here we caught Deoxys, Charizard, and even God himself fused with a Squirtle. We managed to find and capture Dialga, Honedge, and an Empoleon Rayquaza fusion, adding to our Steel-type arsenal. Our final catch was this Jirachi fusion, and with our new members, it was time for more fusions. Double Dialga became Primal Dialga from the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, and Dialga Cofagrigus made this? I can't even really tell what all of this is. Milotic was majestic as usual, and Reuniclus had so much detail we had to add him to the team. Arceus and Aegislash wasn't bad, but Rayquaza was a million times cooler. Though with a legendary already on the team, I decided to go with Gardevoir fusion instead. Don't worry, we come back to the Rayquaza fusion later. I will also mention that this Mamoswine fusion was awesome, like an armored elephant from Lord of the Rings. Empoleon and Cofagrigus was surprisingly cute, and Charizard made an awesome Mega-like fusion, though I decided to go with this Kingler fusion instead for the water typing. Banette and Jirachi made this dorky little dude, and Milotic was, again, majestic. But Salamence took the Jirachi colors to a whole new level. With the break over and our new team formed, we headed to Saffron City. When we arrived, we noticed that Team Rocket was everywhere, so we headed straight for Silphco, where Mr. Fuji said they had headed. We battled our way through several grunts, rescued some people in distress, and arrived to fight fire with fire and take Giovanni down. After we battled Zeppelin, of course, cause he challenged us. Bad timing, but hey, what can I do? Zeppelin leads BGS and it falls to a flamethrower. His starter then comes out and also falls to a flamethrower. He sends out Nidodude and Klinglion makes easy work with Brine. And finally his last two super weak Pokemon, Azusaur and Pidfetched, fall to our Death Star's Double Edge. With our rival's help, we push forward to take on Giovanni in a double battle. His Chandani and Stungon take forever to take down, and his Tenchop finally takes out our Jirachi fusion. Luckily, with our rival's last Pokemon, we're able to finish off his Farrogue and win the battle. Giovanni then runs off again. With the city now secured, it was time to take on the 6th gym battle and Sabrina's electric types. Thinking that this battle would be a bad one for our water type, we left it behind. Unfortunately, after defeating her Zaptar, her second Pokemon, Remorder, swept through my team with its fire type attacks. In our second attempt, Kingleon was able to weaken enough for Giraments to take it down, and I thought we were home free, until she sent out a Wonder-Guarded Pikachu, and we had nothing to hit it. Our third attempt went much smoother, with Zaptar falling to Dianoclus and Magmortar fusion falling to Kingleon. We then used Mudshot to take down our Wonder-Guarded Pikachu, and Giraments finished off the battle by Zen headbutting her Venochu. We had our 6th gym badge. It's always fun when you have to problem solve a gym fight like this. After the battle, I checked my boxes and I realized that Nosepass is a Steel-type Pokemon, and I had caught one somewhere along the way. So, fusing it with a few different things like Rotom and Arceus, this one's kinda funny. We finally stuck with a Big-Nosed Charizard fusion. I also refused Aegislash with Pinscher because Gardevoir was just too weak. We reached Cinnabar Island, made our way to Blaine in the basement of the Pokemon Mansion, worst puzzle area in the game by the way, and went in to challenge him and his rock types for our 7th gym badge. His Onsaur went down to Waterfall by Kingleon, and Bonsaur barely managed to take us out with counter. Is this a rock type or a Bulbasaur gym? Our Charpass then easily took it out with Earth Power, and after missing 2 Zap Cannons, he fell. I tried to set up Swords Dance with Aegislash, but Head Smash took us out, leaving only Dianoclus to finish him off with Psychic. 7 badges down, 1 to go. Before leaving Cinnabar Island, we watched Team Rocket steal a boat and head for Mount Ember. So, as the hero of this story, we headed out along the raging tides and through to the mountain where Giovanni was fusing the 3 legendary birds together. For those of you who are new, ZapMolCuno ZapMolCuno is a 3-headed fusion inspired by the manga, and what makes this battle so hard is each of the heads has its own health bar and gets to attack every turn. So unless we outspeed, my Pokemon has to take 3 hits before it gets to attack. In our first attempt, we managed to take out Moltres with King Leon's Waterfall. Dianculus even manages to finish off Articuno. Unfortunately, our Pinscher fusion was just not strong enough in the final one to take on Zapdos alone. We lost. Our second attempt goes a little better. Bisharp was able to take out Articuno. King Leon almost finished Moltres, but unfortunately Flamethrower knocks out Dianculus on 1 hit, and our Pinscher falls to Zapdos once again. Several battles went by about the same way. In our 8th attempt, Giraments does decent damage to the Articuno before falling, and for some reason Zapdos uses Discharge and it hits his own Moltres head instead. We then use Lock On with Charpass and use Zap Cannon to almost knock out the Articuno. Then Flamethrower finishes it off. King Leon makes quick work of the Moltres with Waterfall, and Bisharp brings Zapdos to red before fainting. Dianculus uses Psychic and still doesn't quite finish it off, but luckily, Roar of Time takes revenge for my team's suffering and we win the battle. Giovanni, like the terrible leader he is, flees, leaving the legendary fusion to split apart, and his team runs after him. After making our way back to Cinnabar Island, it was time to head north, back to the beginning to take on the final gym leader, Giovanni. His Poison-type team didn't stand a chance against our Steel-type Pokemon. We weakened his Weakate with Zen Headbutt, and he switched into Kid. They also took massive damage, and he once again switched back into Weakate, and we defeat it. His coolest fusion, Ardoom, then falls to Waterfall, and we finish off Kid with Aqua Jet. Bulbarino manages to confuse us, but Charpass takes it out regardless, leaving Horuk as his final Pokemon. I actually really love this fusion. A pond made of muck and a horsey statue. Anyways, we managed to land Zap Cannon and claimed our 8th and final gym badge. On our way to the Elite Four, we ran into our rivals Zeppelin and had a final battle. Zeppelin led Porycurn, and Dianculus used Psychic to quickly knock it out. He then sent out this amazing Haunter fusion that looked like a demon off of the Doom games, and we knocked it out with Flash Cannon. His Jinku then came out and quickly went down to Flash as well. His starter then came out and used a Fire-type move, which caught me off guard, but it ended up being an illusion Pokemon instead, and our Metal Star fell. King Leon then came out and took it out easily. Our rival then sent out one of the coolest fusions we've seen on this run, Lucario and I believe Stantler? I'm not sure why a Stantler fusion went this hard, but it is an absolutely amazing one. Luckily, it fell easily to Mudshot, and our Charpass finished off his actual starter, winning the battle. With the battle out of the way, we made our way through Victory Road and onto the Indigo Plateau to finish the Elite Four. But, of course, as always, we had to do another round of fusions before facing the final battles. Make sure to comment your favorite fusions from the run down below and let me know what type of challenge or runs you would like to see next. Aegislash and Scizor looked amazing, as did Rayquaza. Reshiram made this cool Holy Knight looking fusion, and Golurk was big, while Machamp was ready to battle. Metagross looked great with Salamence, and once again was adorable with Jirachi. Jirachi and Dialga was absolutely stunning, while Gallade made Dialga into some metal pirate. Garchomp looked like some cooler Mega Garchomp. Reshiram and Aegislash looked super cool but confusing, and Salamence looked like an armored dragon rising from the dead for revenge. Lucario looked plain but in a cool way, while Dusknoir looked like some black hole sword. Machamp became this awesome Holy Knight. Jirachi and Rayquaza was gorgeous, as was Bisharp, and this Gallade. Chandelure made this cute Chinese lantern, and Garchomp was once again a cooler Mega Garchomp. Deoxys and Aggron looked like a supervillain, and Nidoking and Magnezone looked dorky but cool. Starmie and Lucario became a cosmic Anubis, while Bisharp and Apollyon hit some waves. Klinklang and Dialga once again referred to the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, and Bisharp and Arceus looked like King Gambit ascended. Finally, Deoxys and Klinklang looked amazing, meaning we had to somehow choose a team from these awesome fusions. Remember to comment your favorite below. We ended up going back to our Lucario Rotom fusion and named it Lightning. We also chose Metagross and Magnezone and named him Outlaw. Dialga and Jirachi we named Horseman. We also fused Empoleon back with Charizard, naming him King, and we went with the ascended Bisharp Arceus fusion and named him Orion. Finally, our last member of the team was the Aegislash Rayquaza fusion, and we named him Whiplash. If you know what the names mean, comment them down below. With our new team, it was time for the Elite Four. Starting with Lorelei, she led her Snorlax Gardevoir fusion. So we set up a few sword stances, accidentally clicked Discharge, then proceeded to knock out her first Pokemon with close combat. We also almost knocked out her second, but it held on with its ability Sturdy. We then went down, but so did it. We sent out Whiplash against her Shroomish Marill fusion, and after waking up from sleep, we used Sword Stance and Fly to finish it off. Unfortunately, he switched right before we were able to kill it, but then we were able to knock out his Ralts fusion instead. His Gyarados Clefairy fusion went down easily, and finally, the Shroomish fusion came back as it had nowhere else to run. Easily, Lorelei was defeated. Next up was Bruno. Bruno was using Ghost-type Pokemon this time, and he led with G-Max Gengar. This is just 2 Gengars fused. It managed to knock out our Outlaw with Shadow Ball, and after healing, it was able to knock out Horseman as well. Orion finally was able to knock it out, but it used Destiny Bond just before and took us down with it, successfully defeating half of my team with 1 Pokemon. A Giratina Otis fusion came out, and I thought I would be able to take it out with Lightning, but he fell. Luckily, King came out and finished it off, and then used Surf to take out Chandapalm. Flamethrower finished off Lit Raid, and his final Pokemon, Solosis Spiritomb fusion, fell to Fly after some sword stances, even though he almost managed to flinch and knock us out with Dark Pulse. Somehow we won our second Elite Four battle. The third member, Agatha, was using Ghost types. I don't know why, but she is always using Ghost types, even when we randomize everything that is possible. Regardless, Outlaw was able to take several play roughs from her Mimikyu Arceus fusion, and after using several Zen Headbutts and discharges, we were finally able to knock it out. She manages to knock out Outlaw with Gengar Ghastly fusion, and then Orion comes in and knocks it out with Night Slash. We finally get to see what a Ghost-type evolution would look like, and it's quickly finished off by Night Slash as well. We switch into Lightning against her Slowking fusion, and it takes us out. Luckily, Roar Time was able to do enough damage that Horseman was able to finally finish it off. After flinching her last Pokemon, we were able to take it out with Zen Headbutt. Lance, the final Elite Four member, is using Fighting-type Pokemon. We Sword Stance with Whiplash, and unfortunately get burned, so I panic and use Extreme Speed instead of Fly, and we end up going down to a burn. I then send out King and use Surf to beat it, and then we flinch his next Pokemon with Air Slash and knock it out. His third Pokemon, which is a Primate fusion, also falls to Air Slash. He sends in another Primate fusion, fused with Spiritomb, and after doing almost no damage with Orion's Night Slash, we switch to Extreme Speed. Just before knocking it out, it uses Final Gambit, which does almost no damage, and we quickly knock out his Ghastly Machop fusion with Iron Head, beating the Elite Four with our Steel types with relative ease. Now it was time for our final battle against Zeppelin. He led a cute Garchomp Wigglytuff fusion, so we Sword Stanced a few times and knocked it out with Iron Head. We then knocked out his starter with Fly and switched into Outlaw. Unfortunately, Outlaw then takes a fire move and is pretty much fainted. He then really faints with another Flare Blitz, and we're sending out Horsemen to finish off his Cofagrigus Flareon fusion. Unfortunately, he switches out into Feraligatr Aerodactyl, but we successfully knock it out with Roar Time. Tyrannos then knocks us out with Earthquake, and Whiplash comes in and uses what felt like a million Iron Heads to knock it out. We then managed to bring his Flareon fusion low enough that Sandstorm knocks it out, leaving 1 Pokemon left. This disturbing Wigglytuff Unknown fusion comes out, and King has no issue using Flamethrower to finish it off, winning us the battle and winning Pokemon Infinite Fusion with only Steel-type Pokemon. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing for more amazing Pokemon content to come, and make sure to check out our other Fusion videos. Also, for those still watching, let me know what other types of Pokemon content you guys watch, and what you would be interested in seeing. Until next time, take care guys. Peace.